keep us with dry conditions and relatively cool conditions, no significant weather other than that wind itself.
So with those dry conditions here in San Diego and Southern California, other parts of the state are now in drought status, and we've been relatively protected from that over the last few months and years. What is California now looking at when it comes to the status of the drought?
You're right. Last year, 2018-19 was very, very wet statewide, so reservoirs filled up and then some filled over in some cases. But this year has been totally different. So we started off in Southern California, very wet in late November and December. We were seeing precipitation 3 to 4 times above our average, just really, really wet and almost too much rain in some cases where there was significant flooding. Now, while we were seeing that in December, Northern California was just on the edges of all those storms. And so they did not see the bulk of that precipitation. It all fell down here. So quickly, we've seen things turn around where most of California, north of San Diego, is running below average. And we're actually talking about much below average. I was just looking at the numbers for the Sierra Nevada, and the southern Sierra is now running less than 50% of average. The northern Sierra is running up between 60 and 65% of average. So we're talking about significantly below average, and that's why you're seeing that D0, D1, the drought expanding across central Northern California. They're calling it a snow drought right now because the snowpack is about 65 to 70% of where it should be.
And so what does that mean for us potentially in the near to long term when they start to give those 0 and 1 drought status designations?
So in the short term, the main impact is to our recreationalists, to our ski resorts, potentially to fire weather, because it is a signal when you start getting into the second half of the winter that you could have an early start to the fire weather season. Long term, the next impact would be more to water supply and distribution to our agriculture, because at some point in the spring, the decision has to be made to hold back more water, because they're basically going to look at how much snowpack is up there in the mountains. And if that number continues to go down like we're seeing this month, that number is a big influence on how much water they'll actually allocate and allow to be released, because we have to look ahead to even next year when we're talking about water supply. It has to be long-term planning. So it depends on where you are. Locally here in San Diego, not a whole lot of impact initially, and we might feel the impact more this summer or going into next year because of water supply. But initially in San Diego, the main concern is our local reservoirs and then also our fire weather concerns as we roll out into the spring.
For us in San Diego County, we may not feel it like they're feeling in central or northern California, but eventually, months or years from now, we may have to deal with it if it continues.
Yeah, because we're looking at a winter right now that's a lot like, what we saw in 2012, 2013. We're sure we have a couple big storms, but overall we fall a little bit short of average. But more importantly, it's what's going on to our north, and that's really where the drought and the impacts start to spread across the state, because the planning and the decision-making is geared on how much they usually receive in January, February, way more, 2 to 3 times as much as we do, in some cases 4 or 5 times as much on average. And when they tick by in January, February, when you go through those months and see the little precipitation that's occurred, like we're seeing now, it ends up being a bigger impact statewide. And while we don't see the effect immediately down here, statewide, it becomes a much bigger deal. Hopefully, we still get another month of March that typically is a wet month on average. It's a very volatile month. In other words, it's all or nothing usually. So hopefully we're able to get out of this weather pattern that we're in right now, which is very unusual because it's very weak and benign. And it's almost like a weather pattern we might see in April. And here we are in Valentine's Day, mid-February, and that pattern is really locked in across not just Southern California, but all of California.
That's Alex Tardy with the National Weather Service. I'm Jack Cronin.
KOGO real-time traffic sponsored by Quality Chevrolet in Escondido. Very slow through Camp Pendleton on the South 5. You're hitting the brakes at Cristanitos Road, all the way down to an accident at Cannon. From San Clemente down into Del Mar, 1 hour and 20 minutes. Accident South 163 before the 5. You're backed up to Washington. When you buy a new Chevy from Quality Chevrolet, you get lifetime oil changes and a price match guarantee. That's what makes Quality Chevrolet the #1 Chevy dealer in San Diego County. Shop over 800 vehicles at QualityChevy.com. Chevrolet, find new roads. See dealer for details. I'm Mark Zegan. Kogo's next real-time traffic update is in the 12:30 news.
It's LaDonna. If one of your goals for 2020 is to update that kitchen or bathroom, now is the time to call Reborn Cabinets. They specialize in a 3-day kitchen refacing remodel and a 1-day bathroom remodel. The process is quick and affordable. This month, they're offering up to $1,000 off a kitchen or bathroom model if you mention Kogo. And if you schedule a free consultation, Reborn will give you a $50 gift card. Call 888-2-REBORN, 888-273-2676, or reborncabinets.com.
When we were buying our first home, we had the exact image of what we wanted. But we had no idea how stressful the process would be. We went to countless open houses and put in I don't know how many offers, only to be disappointed over and over. Well, after months of frustration, we finally found what we were looking for. And then the unthinkable happened. We missed the deadline to send the down payment. And we were so close. Our real estate agent suggested we contact our personal banker at First Republic to see if she could help. She was a lifesaver. She immediately cut a cashier's check for us and walked, yes, literally walked to the title company to ensure we got our dream home. That's the kind of favor you'd only expect from a friend. That above and beyond level of service reminds me of why we chose First Republic in the first place. I guess you could say that First Republic is our bank for life and our lifestyle.
Personal banking, business banking. At First Republic, it's a privilege to serve you. Ask your banker for details. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Transmission running rough? Never take chances. Let AMCO check it for free and make sure you have total peace of mind. Click AMCOSanDiegoCounty.com for the AMCO Center nearest you. AMCO, AA, MCO, transmissions, and a whole lot more.
Stater Brothers Markets is proud to partner with Redlands Foothill Groves to bring you locally grown, super sweet, and juicy navel oranges. Pick up a 4-pound bag today for just $1.99. Stater Brothers Markets, keeping it local.
The Weekend News Hour continues on News Radio 600. Kogo.
I'm Jack Cronin. 5 San Diego lifeguards had a wonderful surprise here this week. A man and his dog they had rescued from rip currents in Ocean Beach, paying them a visit after getting out of the hospital. Sergeant Wesley Fransway said he and the other lifeguards didn't know the fate of the dog named Sawyer until the reunion.
Gentleman who's with his dogs at Dog Beach, he was throwing a stick in the river. And that day we had really large surf and really drastic tides. So the tide was going out, and when the river flows out, it creates really strong currents. The gentleman, Steve, threw a stick out for his dog. His dog, Sawyer, went out after the stick, and then the dog seemed to be getting taken out by the current. The dog owner kind of naturally, I need to go get my dog, thinking that he'd be able to go out with no worries. When he went out and tried to grab his dog, he was able to connect with the dog, but they kept getting swept out to sea. That's the way the river mouth works right there at Dog Beach and Ocean Beach. So right at that point, our lifeguard in observation, Ian Rockins, he spotted them 3/4 mile down the beach. He saw the dog's head and then Steve's head as well going out the river mouth. From there, he set out the response. We responded.